Hello, people of the internet, and welcome to a special deck tech today. Today we're going one on Sharuum the Hegemon, and this deck's theme is kind of an Esper control variant, obviously using artifacts so we can heavily abuse our commander's sweet ability. Before we get into the creatures and some of the other synergies in the deck, we're going to start with the lands. So, Vajuka Bog to basically hose every single graveyard deck ever. Reliquary Tower because we might end up having more than 7 cards in our hand and we need colorless mana. Academy Ruins because it basically does what Sharuum does and also adds colorless mana, which I'll get to later. Strip Mine because it's the second best land destruction on a land. Strip Mine because it's the best land destruction on a land that I'm aware of. Maze of Ith because it wrecks Voltron decks or any deck that's swinging with one large creature in general. We got 4 plains, 4 islands, and 2 swamps. So I'm just going to throw those out here real quick. In ways of dual lands, we have Godless Shrine, Caves of Koyos, Glacier Fortress, Watery Grave, and Howl of Fountain, and Temple of Enlightenment. Temple of Enlightenment is one of my favorite ones in this one. Also, the Shocklands are also really good in this deck since we run Marsh Flats, Flooded Strand, and Polluted Delta. All sweet cards, and they don't do much for deck thinning in a deck full of 99 cards, but they're pretty effective at their job. Other lands, Ancient Tomb because mana ramp is hilarious. Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth because having everything turn into a swamp is also pretty hilarious. Mishra's Workshop because we're an artifact-based deck and we plan on playing spells way too early. And what should be in every deck, Command Tower and City of Brass because they allow you to get tap for any mana. Command Tower being the best. And also Arcane Sanctum because we need a 3rd tricolor land. Moving on to the next little spiel here. We have the control parts of the deck. We have Baleful Strix, which is a 2-mana 1/1, replaces your hand, flying, death touch, takes down, usually stops most decks in their tracks for multiple turns. It's pretty hilarious. Stuffy Doll, this is weird, and I know, but you choose the Voltron player, and Stuffy Doll is indestructible, and it will cause them to not attack you because them attacking into the Stuffy Doll will cause them to take so much damage. It's not even funny. So yeah, against Voltron, that's how you make enemies with the Voltron deck. Against decks that go wide, like green-white aggro, Risk the Redeemed, anything like that, we bring in Silent Arbiter, which allows no more than 1 creature to attack each combat and no more than 1 creature to block each combat. We have ways to get around this and also have them to only be able to block with 1 creature. So yeah, that also makes friends with the Voltron deck, so be very political with this deck. Teferi's Moat because it wrecks most decks that like to use elf tokens. Looking at you, elves. Propaganda because it does the same thing that Silent Arbiter does, except it goes a roundabout way that makes them tap out. Maze of Ith, been over that. Eldrazi Displacer. This is the best card for synergy in the deck. You can just pay 3 and exile another creature and return to the battlefield. This is broken with Sharuum because you can just exile her, get her back, get an artifact from the graveyard, done deal. Grand Abolisher because basically saying you can only cast stuff on your turn is pretty rude. Cryptic Command because you can't die if you can cast it. It's just a law. Cyclonic Rift because it's one of the best bounce spells ever printed. Cursed Totem, it shuts down your commander, but it is such a dick move that sometimes it's worth it. If you're playing against the Norn the Wary deck, it's, or like an affinity type thing, it's a good card. You can put it out for anything else, but I like it personally. Blind Obedience because Extort is a really strong mechanic in Commander. Second, when you're able to get ahead against all aggro decks ever, it's pretty nice. Chalice of the Void to basically shut down their commander in most cases, especially if they're playing Norn. You just play it on turn 2, they can't cast Norn anymore, and that's hilarious. Swords to Plowshares, great removal spell used in Legacy for good reason. Rewind because untapping our Mishra's Workshop after countering their spell is hysterical. Path to Exile, also another great white removal spell, gets them a land, but if they're playing 5 colors, they're kind of screwed. Counterspell, It's Counterspell. You play it. Swan Song. It's kind of a weird card, but giving them a 2/2 bird is usually better than letting them have their commander or, you know, instant or sorcery spell that they're trying to do. Armageddon, and I know I'm going to get flack for putting this in a deck tech, but Armageddon will literally restart a game if you are screwed. If there's nothing you can do, you play if you're backed into a corner and they need lands to win, Armageddon just straight up wins you the game sometimes. And it's kind of fucked up, but who cares? Wrath of God, it destroys all creatures. It's hilarious. Supreme Verdict can't be countered, destroys all creatures. It's hilarious. Elish Norn, Grand Cenobite, pumps up all your little Thopter tokens that you're going to be making. Going to get to that later. And also shuts down elves. That whole entire Risk Redeem deck is basically done for. Damnation, it's Wrath of God, but different colors. Crawl Space, basically to also befriend the Voltron deck a little bit by saying, hey, only you can attack me. And that's fair. But basically screws Risk the Redeemed, all the Tristani decks, green-white aggro, done. Little disclosure about some of the special cards that can get out of hand. In the top we have cards that are really good, and the bottom we have cards that just kind of get you some that are just really strong in the deck and that I need to touch on individually. Soren Markov, do not play him early. If you play him early, you will make so many enemies. Just wait until someone's like being a real douche at the table or about to go off on some combo, and then you just play Soren, make their life total 10, tell everybody at the table that person needs to die, and they will probably listen to you because their life total is now 10. This card usually wins me a game in a 1v1 matchup. They're playing like a green-red aggro deck kind of thing, or green-red monsters, and I would be behind the whole game, and I just have 2 Sphinxes out, and then I play Soren Markov. They cry a little bit on the inside, make their life total 10, swing in for the kill. Silent Arbiter, this could be pretty shaky. It will make you a target a lot of the time. Same thing with Propaganda and Crawl Space. Magister Sphinx can be bounced with Eldrazi Displacer, so yeah, just paying 9 mana total to basically do this 3 times is kind of ridiculous. Rhystic Study, because no one likes to have teamwork and just let you draw 15 cards off this 3-mana enchantment. Teferi's Moat, also just a big middle finger. Don't play at the wrong time, especially if you could die from, if they have a way of giving their creatures flying, they'll probably find a way to kill you. Grand Abolisher, it's an okay card, just don't be rude when you play it, I guess. Luminarch Ascension is a really strong card. It basically allows you to pay 2 mana to get an angel every turn. Hands down, one of the best cards in white. Necropotence, debatably one of the strongest black draw spells ever printed, ever. I put it in the deck because card advantage, and card advantage is sweet. Same thing with Sphinx's Revelation. Used to run shit down in Theros Standard back in the day. So Sphinx's Revelation, one of the best cards for drawing. Consecrated Sphinx, same story. You can just straight up win games through Consecrated Sphinx, because you just draw into like a Soren or a Rhystic Study or Grand Abolisher that literally shuts down most decks. Sphinx of Magasai is another weird card that I've come to fall in love with. It's just a powerhouse. It draws cards. It's basically effectively an 8/8 most of the time when you're attacking with it, which is pretty strong. Arbiter at the Deal is also another weird thing. It's kind of pseudo draw, but like whenever you're able to just get an artifact or a creature or land onto the battlefield for free each turn, like seriously, it's a pretty strong card. And then Asperia Supreme Judge, because people are going to attack us and we want to be able to draw cards. So it's just a value creature. I was actually thinking about running it as the commander, but I just like the idea of having black. It allows me to run this monstrosity. Moving on. Here are the rest of like the artifact synergies in the deck. For ramp, we have Alloy Mirror, and for charge counters, we have Court Tapper. Court Tapper is really weird. and I'll get to where he becomes really strong. Conjurer's Closet to balance Sharuum when we don't have the Eldrazi Displacer out. Pentavis because +1/+1 counters and making a bunch of little dudes. So yeah, I'll get back to that when I get to the card that's really good with that. Titan Forge to put counters on with the Core Tapper, getting a bunch of 9/9s all the time. Seems pretty good. Architects of Will, it's pretty good. I like it. Scry 3 most of the time, and bounce it with Eldrazi Displacer. It's kind of the theme of the video, really. Arcbound Overseer is an artifact that can die. Get it back with Sharuum. You just keep on putting 6 +1/+1 counters on little artifacts that you have. Arcbound Ravager, part of the Affinity Scare back in the day of Darksteel. This card is really strong, and it's without a doubt, it's one of the most powerful cards ever printed, and it's in here for good reason. Don't bounce it with Eldrazi Displacer though. Mirrored Battlesphere, bounce this with Eldrazi Displacer. Just do it. Akroma's Memorial, because having little Thopters become Akromas is awesome. Steel Overseer, because +1/+1 counters on all your little Thopters is hilarious. Sword of the Make plus Thopter Foundry equals combo. Do it. Barred Battle Gear or Skull Clamp, whichever one you want. Blasting Station with the Thopter Foundry Sword of the Meat combo equals just damage. It's pretty hilarious sometimes, actually. Phyrexian Metamorph to just copy the best artifact or creature on the battlefield. It's quality. Sphinx Summoner to go get whatever we need, whether it's a Chromatic Lantern or a Chroma's Memorial or a Arcbound Ravager or a Thopter Foundry, whatever. Sphinx of the Steel Wind because it has protection from green and red, which is the colors that destroy artifacts. So yeah, that helps. Astral Cornucopia, I wouldn't choose this in any other deck, but I like this just because I can put charge counters on it with Core Tapper. Basalt Monolith because ramp. Thran Dynamo because ramp. Same thing with Sol Ring, which should be in every commander deck ever. Coalition Relic, which is kind of ramp, but also gives you some color fixing at the same time. Chromatic Lantern, same thing. Tezzeret the Seeker, because allowing you to search for artifacts in this deck is busted. Magister Sphinx, been over that one already. Sharding Sphinx, it's basically doubles the amount of Thopters you get every turn, which is awesome. A Crow and Horse to basically put a target on someone that you just blew up with with Soren Markov. Alhammeret's Archive to just gain you double life and draw double cards every turn. Basically doubles your Sphinx's Revelation. You're welcome. Another quick thing that could possibly happen in your game, and I wanted to make sure I had time to do this, but this is not an uncommon play, and this is how you get around Silent Arbiter being a douche to your own team. So let's say you have a bunch of Thopters, and you've been putting counters on them, and some Golems, and you've been putting counters on them all game with Steel Overseer. You have Sharuum out, Arcbound Ravager, Silent Arbiter, Eldrazi Displacer, and you have the Sword of a Meek attached to a Thopter or something. Whatever. Ooh, attached to a Thopter. So here's what happens. You sacrifice the Silent Arbiter to Arcbound Ravager. You declare attackers. You swing with everything. And then before declare blockers, you pay 3 of any. You pay 2 of anything in one colorless. Bounce your room. Get back Silent Arbiter. Since attackers have already been declared, you can't undeclare your blockers. So you still have all those creatures still attacking, and then when they go to declare blockers, they can only block with one creature, probably a Golem, and they're probably dead. So yeah, that's basically the best thing the deck could do. I'm pretty happy about this deck. I hope that you are too, and please check in the description below for more cards, for more decks, I should say. More deck techs, and also checked out my tappedout.net, which is what I've been doing this on. So thanks for watching and have a good day.